Hi, everybody. This is Moving Pictures with Doug.
And Allie.
And we haven't reviewed a lot of movies lately, but now we're going to let's try it again. Let's try to review some movies every now and then. I do like it, even though, they don't get a lot of hits or they don't get a lot of...
It's fun to talk about them and just be pensive about what we saw. So what did we see, Doug?
We saw Bumblebee. So, I don't know what your relationship with the Transformers movies has been. What's your history with Transformers in general?
So I never watched the cartoons. My extension at all was the first two movies of the Michael Bay movies.
Only the first two, okay. So that's all the Transformers you've seen?
It was like the first and bits of the second.
Oh, that's okay. Even if you watch the second from start to finish, it doesn't make any more sense.
I know about the Megan Fox, her being fired, but I don't remember why. I remember...
She called Michael Bay Hitler.
Why?
Yeah, who knows?
Jeez!
It was not very professional on either one of their ends, to be honest. I am a longtime Transformers fan. I grew up with some of the toys. I watched the cartoon, although it wasn't really on the air much when I was younger, because I think I was just right at that age range when it was kind of off the air. And then I watched it only in entirety later on when it was on DVD. But of course, as people, longtime viewers of this channel know, my main Transformers show was Beast Wars. And
Beast Wars! Sorry.
Also, the Beast Wars toys. I had a lot of Beast Wars toys as well.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw your bedroom, I was like, woo! A display.
And she didn't run away, so that implied to me that she was a... I'm keeping that in there.
Ow!
Woo! Can't script that stuff. So yeah, Beast Wars was kind of the Transformers for my generation, but I still liked the old show, even though it was just a little bit before my time. And I guess the Michael Bay Transformers films, I guess 1 through 5, are more or less just another reboot, another way of telling Transformers. And I do remember going to the theater and actually quite liking the first one. Looking back, the movie doesn't hold up to a lot of scrutiny, but if I just remember the experience of having watched it, I had a good time.
Yeah, it was like a fun action movie to me. I would imagine that some hardcore fans would be upset, like, oh, you ruined the franchise. Coming from an outsider or the uninitiated, I had fun watching it.
I watched the second movie, Revenge of the Fallen, and it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in the theater. Where I literally, there were times where I was watching the film, trying to had my eyes, I remember thinking, is this really happening? It was just so bad, I could not fully comprehend it. I think it's because I could watch it for free. I watched the third Transformers movie, and it was slightly better than the second, but it was still, at the end of the day, way too long and way too incomprehensible. And then I was like, you know what? Even though this one doesn't cost me money, it did cost me time.
And I think that's a lot more precious.
And then I decided,
Nope.
no, I'm done. So what makes Bumblebee special is that it's no longer directed by Michael Bay. He's credited as a producer, but it is by Travis Knight, who also did Kubo and the Two Strings, which is a cool little stop motion film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't.
Did you see any Leica films like Box Trolls, Coraline?
I've seen Coraline. I've always meant to watch Box Trolls. I remember seeing it all over Tumblr, and for some reason I never did.
I've liked every Leica film that I've seen, which is not that many, but it's a good track record. There's a lot of preamble for this. So it was very promising to me going into Bumblebee, but I didn't want to get my hopes up too high. So, that being said, I really liked it. I actually had a really good time. How did you like it?
I'm just going to preface this saying that my issues with the movie is the same issue that I would have with any other action movie. Is that you'd be dead if that actually happened.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So what you're saying is just it goes through the normal action movie impossibilities of
there's an explosion and people get thrown back, and instead of actually dying,
instead
they're
of
just oh, are you okay? I don't have any broken bones or scratches or bruises.
That's pretty typical Hollywood stuff.
Yeah,
that just comes with the territory. Well, okay, but anyways, overall, apart from the action contrivances and nitpicks,
there's only really one nuance, I guess, and it was just the characterization of Charlie. And it wasn't that I didn't like her. I just wasn't attached to her in a way. That I understand like she's going through depression, that she's supposed to be kind of a rebel character, but there was also kind of this there's this whole excuse me. There's this whole part in the beginning of the movie where she's just like, my life would be so much easier if I had a move your tail. If I had a car. I don't know, it just felt super spoiled in a way.
A little superficial.
Yeah.
If they were able to expand on why, it would be that much easier.
But I didn't dislike her. Haley Steinfeld's acting awesome.
She's a great actress, and I think that she's definitely like, she's leading lady material. I don't know if you saw her in True Grit. I think you haven't. I think we talked about it before.
I don't know what True Grit is.
True Grit is the movie that she kind of like, she got her big break in. And she was nominated for an Academy Award for it.
Ooh.
And like she was good.
How old was she?
Very young. She was like early teens maybe.
Oh wow. And she was nominated.
Yeah.
Wow.
I liked her so much I thought she should have won.
What were your thoughts on John Cena having a prominent role?
You know, I'm not, I don't follow wrestling at all, so I don't know. He was fine. He got the right role for how he looks and who he is, I think. Being, you know, just a military guy, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, like, I look at him, I'm like, I buy it. I totally buy it. There's no, like, hamminess, like, over-the-top hamminess.
He knows how to, like, tone it down, just, like...
I haven't seen a lot of the other acting roles he's been in. I know he's breaking into acting and he's doing a pretty good job, is my understanding. And I think this is kind of my first exposure to John Cena, the actor. I think he probably understands his limitations working well within them. So, what else can you do? You know.
The movie was so cute. Bumblebee was so innocent.
She's a big Bumblebee fan now.
He was so cute. After he loses his voice and everything, he has like these his mannerisms going like, oh no. He was so cute.
That's one of the upsides about having a guy who is a director of animation, is that he can show through visuals the expressive-ness that was needed for like Bumblebee. Good to have a guy who just like really understands like how the importance of like body language and being able to communicate with it, like have a character communicate without having to use words. Yes, exactly.
One of the things I like about Bumblebee, everything was just scaled back, so it didn't feel like a parody of itself.
There was only like 3 major Transformers, basically. There's the 2 bad guys, the 1 good guy, and a few cameos from some other characters. I thought what this film had that some of the old almost all the old Transformers lacked was a lot of heart. In that it actually like it took you on kind of a nice emotional story arc. It's one of those things that you don't even know how important it is until you're watching a movie and you're like, why am I not invested in any of this? And it's because there's no emotional story arc. Where this one, it had one. It was a story for Bumblebee,
for
Charlie, even a little bit for John Cena's military guy.
The brother, younger brother.
Yeah, everyone.
Of validation.
You know, everyone had just a little bit of a story. Most of the key players did. It's the character moments that really make it. They felt real. They felt kind of, that sometimes they're a little goofy and a little fun, but they still felt real enough to me. Yeah. And it's those little things are really important. Just to make it up, make it a proper movie. Travis Knight took like a lot of beats from like not only did it take place in the 80s, but it kind of took a lot of story elements from the 80s as well. Like it was very E.T.-ish. Only E.T. being a gigantic robot. I'm still kind of trying to hide the giant robot from the military. Or Iron Giant, although that wasn't 80s, that was 90s. But it had a kind of an Iron Giant feel as well. And, sometimes it is nice to just kind of take things back to the basics. And I feel like that's one of the things that they really did. And I don't necessarily always give points to movies for like fan service and stuff like that, because sometimes it comes at a cost of the storytelling. Like I can definitely tell when I'm watching a movie and I'm like, that was just total fan service.
Like Shameless.
Yeah, but in other cases, sometimes it really does. Hi Bones, how you doing, buddy? Sometimes it really does go a long way to do it right. And in this case, they made it really work with the story. But this is very early in the film. You see some of this in the trailers and stuff like that. Is that you finally get to see a big budget recreation. I love it. He's just sitting right there. You finally get to see a big budget recreation of Cybertron, of the Transformers homeworld, for those who are not initiated. And that's just such a spectacle. And so the old classic designs, I think why it was especially refreshing was because The designs in the Michael Bay films were so unlike the characters in the classic show or the classic toy line. But this Optimus was he just looked so awesome. Like, just to see that classic, like, great, like, high budget 2018 CGI movie produced Optimus Prime on the screen.
Fanboying.
But, like, honestly, it was just something that I didn't know I needed. I didn't know I needed to see it so badly. You know, like, oh, thank God. Even though, like, the Cybertron scenes all in all are pretty small, it showed that Travis Knight had respect for the source material. And that's something that I think that this goes for anybody who's making a film based on any important large budget property. You can always tell the difference between comic book movies that have no respect for the source material, like you were saying, Constantine, and other ones that do, like The Dark Knight and most, like the Marvel films. Kevin Feige, the producer, he makes new stories for the Marvel films, but they're based. There's elements pulled from other key Marvel stories from the comics, and you could just tell that he's trying to show respect at the very least to the source material. Even if it's not story beats, it's respect and understanding of the importance of what he's drawing from. And I think that, like, at this point, Transformers, I feel like the fan base has been feeling very alienated after like almost a decade of, like, it seeming like a filmmaker was taking something, making money off of it, and not respecting what it is that they loved about it. And I feel like in this case, like, it was that opening Cybertronian scene of, like, that war between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Like, it just showed is like, hey, this guy actually cares about what you're watching and cares about the fact that you used to love this as a kid. It's just really refreshing to see.
Yeah, you didn't even have to be a childhood fan to realize that Michael Bay was kind of like desecrating the Transformers series.
He just, he made them into Michael Bay films. And honestly, not even that good Michael Bay films. Michael Bay, I actually know you can do better because I kind of like The Island.
It was a rip-off.
Oh, okay. An original, but I did kind of like it. Yeah, I had a good time. It was really refreshing.
You made him so happy.
So let us know what you thought about Bumblebee in the comments down below. And
Buzz.
If you like what you see here, please subscribe. We'll try and do more movie reviews. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.